The Mermaid's Song, an African tale of love. Long ago, in a land where the rivers of echo sang through the air, there lived a fisherman named Chima. His village, nestled along the edge of a mighty river in the heart of Igbo land, was deeply connected to the water. The people believed that powerful spirits resided beneath the river's surface, and they honored it with offerings of fruits and flowers at its banks. Like his ancestors, Chima earned his livelihood casting nets into the river. Despite his many years as a fisherman, the most enchanting thing he had ever seen was the glimmer of the fish he caught. One scorching afternoon, after a long and fruitless day of fishing, Chima decided to venture further downstream to the waters said to be enchanted. The elders in his village had often warned of strange happenings in those parts, but hunger drove him onward. His family had not eaten for days, and he couldn't return home empty-handed. As he paddled his small boat, the river grew quieter, and the air filled with a hauntingly beautiful melody. It seemed to rise from the very depths of the water. Entranced, Chima closed his eyes, letting the tune guide him. Suddenly, the boat stopped. Opening his eyes, Chima saw a figure seated on the rock near the shore. It was a woman with radiant ebony skin that gleamed under the setting sun and hair that flowed like a cascading river. But it was her lower body that struck him most. Where legs should have been was a glimmering tail that shimmered as it slipped into the water. "Do not be afraid," she said, her voice as soft and mesmerizing as the melody that had drawn him there. "I'm Yaya, the guardian of these waters. You have come seeking fish, but you have found something far more precious." Chima, frozen in awe, could not find his voice. Yaya smiled gently, her eyes sparkling like stars in the twilight sky. "I will help you," she said, her tone becoming serious. "But in return, I asked for something from you." Desperate to save his family, Chima nodded quickly. "Great Spirit, I will do whatever you ask. Just say the word." Yaya's smile faded slightly as she spoke. "For centuries, I've guarded these waters alone, watching humans come and go, always apart from their word. I long for companionship, for love. You must visit me every evening and listen to my song. In return, the river will always bless your nets, and your family will never know hunger." Chima agreed without hesitation. That night, he returned to his village with nets overflowing with fish, much to the amazement of his people. For weeks, Chima kept his promise. Every evening, he visited Yaya by the water's edge, listening to her enchanting songs. Over time, he began to look forward to these meetings, not just for the abundant fish, but for the joy and peace her presence brought him. One evening, as Chima prepared to leave, his wife, Adak, grew suspicious. She has noticed how distant he had become and how his thoughts often seemed far away, even when he was home. "Where do you go every night, my husband?" Adako asked, her tone sharp and probing. Chima hesitated, but decided to share parts of the truth with her. "I go to the river spirit, who blesses our nets with fish," he explained. omitting any mention of Yaya's true form or their conversations. Adaku, unconvinced, decided to follow him. The next evening, she hid among the tall grasses by the river bank. When she saw the radiant Yaya perched on the rock, singing to her husband, jealousy flared within her heart. "Leave my husband alone," Adaku shouted, stepping out of her hiding place. Startled, Yaya slipped into the water, her song abruptly silenced. Chima turned to his wife. Anger and shame etched on his face. "You do not understand," he said. "She has saved us from hunger." "She's no savior," Adaku retorted, her voice laced with fury. "She's a seductress." In her rage, she picked up a stone from the river bank and hauled it into the water where Yaya had disappeared. The ripples spread across the surface and the air grew cold. The next day, when Chima cast his net into the river, they came up empty. The river, once generous, had turned its back on him. Days turned into weeks, and no matter how far he traveled or how tirelessly he worked, the waters yielded nothing. Desperate and filled with guilt, Chima returned to the spot where he had first met Yaya, but she was nowhere to be found. Months passed, and the village once again fell into despair, plagued by hunger and loss. Whispers spread through the community. Some blamed Adaku for offending the spirits of the river, while others criticized Chima for keeping secrets. Determined to set things right, Chima sought out the village elder, Papa Okoro, known for his wisdom and deep knowledge of the river spirits. "You've disrupted the delicate balance," Papa Okoro said, his voice grave. "Yaya is no ordinary spirit. She's the guardian of this river. To restore harmony, you must seek her forgiveness. But beware, the path will test your heart." "What must I do?" Chima asked, desperation in his voice. Papa Okoro handed him a small clay pot filled with sacred herbs. "Go to the sacred grove by the river at the next new moon. Burn these herbs and call out her name. If your intentions are true, she may appear." Meanwhile, Adaku grappled with her own guilt. She had acted out of fear and jealousy, but now she saw the consequences of her actions. She decided to follow Chima that fateful night, determined to make amends. As the new moon rose, Chima knelt by the river bank, the clay pot in front of him. He lit the herbs, and a fragrant smoke rose into the still night air. "Yaya, spirit of the river," Chima called, his voice breaking. "I have wronged you. I seek your forgiveness and your guidance." The waters began to ripple, glowing faintly under the moonlight. Yaya emerged, her tail shimmering like liquid gold, but her eyes, once filled with warmth, now held a piercing sadness. "You dared to call me after betraying my trust." Yaya's voice was like a distant storm. Before Chima could respond, Adaku stepped forward, falling to her knees. "Great spirits, forgive me," she cried. "It was my jealousy that broke the bond between you and my husband. I see now that my actions have harmed not just you, but our entire village. Yaya regarded her silently, the waves lapping gently at the shore. Jealousy is a poison, but love is a balm, she said at last. Do you love him enough to make a sacrifice for him? I do, Adaku said without hesitation. Yaya's expression softened, though her voice remained firm. Then I'll set a test. You must retrieve a pail from the depths of the river where the current is strongest. If your love for Chima guides you, the river will let you pass. Adaku hesitated, fear flicking in her eyes, but Chima stepped forward. No, Yaya, let me take the test. It's my mistake that caused all this. Yaya shook her head. Only she can restore what she broke. Summoning all her courage, Adaku stepped into the river. The icy water pulled at her, but she pressed further, guarded by the faint glow of the pearl deep below. Her lungs burned, and the current seemed determined to drag her away, but she clung to her love for Chima. At last, her fingers closed around the pearl. As she rose to the surface, gasping for air, the river erupted in a brilliant light. Yaya stood at the shore, her expression serene. You have proven your love and your remorse, she said. The bond is restored, and the river will flow generously once more. Chima rushed to Adaku's side, holding her close. Together they turned to Yaya, gratitude shining in their eyes. Remember this lesson, Yaya said, her form beginning to fade into the water. Love is not without trials, but it is in overcoming them that it grows strong. From that day on, the river flourished, and so did the love between Chima and Adaku. The villagers too learned to honor the river and the spirits that dwelled within it, ensuring the balance will never again be broken. The moral lesson. 1. The power of love and forgiveness. True love requires understanding, trust, and forgiveness. Both Chima and Adaku learned to overcome their mistakes and work together to restore balance in their lives and their community as well. 2. Consequences of actions. Every action, whether driven by jealousy, fear, or secrecy, has consequences. Adaku's jealousy and Chima's secrecy disrupted not only their relationship, but the harmony of their village. 3. Sacrifice and redemption. Restoring trust and harmony often requires personal sacrifice. Adaku's willingness to face danger for love exemplifies the courage needed to mend broken bonds. 4. Respect for nature and the supernatural. The story emphasizes the importance of respecting the balance of nature and the unseen forces that sustain life. Neglecting or offending these forces can lead to hardship. 5. Overcoming jealousy. Jealousy clouds judgment and can harm relationships, but acknowledging and addressing it with humility can lead to growth and healing. In summary, this tale teaches the importance of love, trust, humility, and respect for the world around us. That's it, my lovelies. We've come to the end of this story. Hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Till I come your way next time, it's goodbye from Tabby's Corner. See you in my next video.